to be here, and thank you for joining us for our series, Conversations on Masculinity. And we appreciate that you all showed up to us for us on Zoom.
MenCare is a Strengths United UCS and season collaboration that seeks to reduce sexual violence on campus and beyond. We provide education workshops, mentoring, and peer leadership training to promote healthy masculinity and reduce the rape culture.
Just a couple things before we get started. We just ask that during this talk that you keep your microphone on mute unless like you have a question to ask. You could also use the chat box to ask a question. And also this presentation is being recorded, but only the presenter will be recorded. But just be aware that if you do ask a question or something, your voice may be recorded. But yeah, if you have any questions, you could just go ahead and write them in the chat box. And if there's any issues, maybe the host will ask the question for you if you're not comfortable. Yeah.
Awesome. So I'd like to give a shout out to Male Minority Mentoring, Black Male Scholars, and the Women's Resource and Research Center for making this possible. We couldn't have done it without all of them. And we're so grateful to have Ashanti Branch here today. Ashanti Branch, he works to change how students, especially young men of color, interact with their education and how their schools interact with them. He's the founder of the Ever Forward, Siempre Adelante. He founded it in 2004, and they mentor young men in middle and high school to provide them with safe, brave communities that build character and transform lives. They serve teens who are underschooled, deschooled, and overschooled, and their mission is to give young men a chance to get real. Just a little bit about Ashanti. He was raised in Oakland by a single mother on welfare. He left her inner city to study civil engineering at Cal State Poly. He was a construction project manager in his first career, and his life changed after he started tutoring and he realized his passion for teaching. So his work in the Ever Forward Club has been featured in the documentary The Mask You Live In, which premiered in 2015 in the Sundance Film Festival. He was also awarded a fellowship from the national organization CBMA, Campaign for Black Male Achievement, and he's currently a fellow with the Gratitude Network's and top 3 finalists for the LinkedIn Compassion Award. I believe Ashanti embodies the realness, that he has both strength and heart, and because he has that, he's able to help bring it out in others around him. So without further ado, I'd like to welcome Ashanti Branch and his team. Thank you for being here.
Hello, thank you, Rudy. Good to be here with you. Can you hear me good? Fantastic.
Yeah, we hear you.
So what we're going to do, hello, everybody. Thank you for being on the call. You know, today is Wednesday. It's hump day, the middle of the week. You know, hopefully you got something to look forward to for the rest of the week. And we're glad that you take time out of your day. You know, one of my mentors says, there's nothing more valuable than time. You can always go and earn more money. You can go and work extra, but once you have given up some of your time, it's gone. And so I just appreciate you for making this sacrifice of time, and I'm hoping to make it worth your time in this short time we have together. So I have some young folks I want to introduce you to who are going to be a part of our conversation today. And I'm going to, how about Alberto, you start, and then Clive, and then Chioke. So they'll introduce themselves, and then we'll jump into our big introduction as well.
Hello, everyone. My name is Alberto Sanchez. I met Ashanti when I was in the 10th grade. I was his intern for a school project. After I graduated, me and Branches, we kept in touch. I was struggling after I graduated. I dropped out of college, and he provided me a job, and basically that's how I met Branch. What I do for the Ever Forward Club is I collect all the data for the 100K mask. When people send mask cards, I count them and I input them in the computer.
Thank you, Alberto. Clive?
Hello, everybody. I'm Clive Ryan Jr. Thanks for having me. I'm 18. I go to Skyline High School. I'm a senior, and I'm not sure if I was supposed to say it, but I met Branch in 6th grade at my middle school, my middle school. He was the assistant principal or vice principal, and he started this. He brought Everford to Montera, and I hated going, but I ended up going to Everford every day after school, and now I'm here. So been going Everford ever since.
Thank you, Clive. And Chioke? Chioke, are you there? Or we'll come back when he gets back onto the system. Chioke, can you hear us? Okay, he's on mute by me. I didn't do it on purpose. Hold on, maybe Chioke said I muted him. Give me a second, brother.
Yeah, I'm here now.
Okay.
All right, so I'm Choke, and I'm also a senior in high school. And I met Ashanti, Branch, and Everford Club just about the beginning of last year, or 2 years ago, really. And at that time, I was in need of a little guidance in my personal life as well as my schooling. I had felt like I didn't necessarily have the right representation at my school or the right guidance for men of color at my school. So my grandmother had actually helped me reach out to Ashanti Branch, and he brought me into the Everford Club.
Thank you, Clive and Chioke and Alberto. So these are young men that are in our program, and what we're going to be doing today is you all are going to experience a simulated check-in. So what's going to happen in the next few minutes is, well, actually right now, the young men are going to kind of demonstrate how we do check-ins. And because we have this virtual model, you're going to see how you get to check in using some tools that we create or that we have available to us. So a check-in is your name. Well, actually, I should check in. I should introduce myself. Let me introduce myself. I'm getting excited. My name is Ashanti Branch. I'm the founder of Everforward. I am super glad to be able to do the work that I think I was born to do. I think that during the journey of my life and all the challenges I went through, I was like, this is not fun, and why me? But as I look back, I think that Steve Jobs said, looking back, you can put the dots together. You can connect the dots. I think while I was going through them, I was like, life is horrible. Like, I think I'm a good person. Why am I being bullied in middle school? Why am I poor? Why all these questions I had about things that were happening in my life. And what I realized in the journey, looking back, was that it had to happen in order for me to tell the stories I get to tell young people today, in order for me to connect to the young people that I get to work with, in order for me to be able to help educators better reach students, in order for me to work with people in communities to help them understand how to be more connected. Those things that happen to me were not just to take me out. I don't think they were to equip me with tools that I have right now. So this is the work I get to do, and I'm really excited to be here with you today. So we're gonna do a quick check-in. The young men are gonna show you how to do a check-in. It'll be your name, and for most of you in the room won't be able to do your name, but you will be able to give a number on a scale from 1 to 10. So the name, and then a number on a scale from 1 to 10. And then what we'll do is there will be an opportunity for you to check in around, what are you grappling with right now? What are you grappling with right now? And so we're going to, you'll put up your hand if you want to answer that question when we get to that part. But the young men will demonstrate first. Name, number, a scale from 1 to 10. 1 is the worst, 10 is the best. And then what is something that you're grappling with right now? And so Clive and Chioke and Alberto will demonstrate, and then I will give you all the chance in the room to give us a number from yourselves. Who wants to go first? Alberto, how about you go first? Just go first.
Sanchez, Alberto. Right now, I feel like a cool 8. It's a nice day outside. Um, I pretty much been doing the same thing, which is just input data. That's pretty much what my whole week's been about. Need a haircut. That's kind of why I'm an 8. If I had a haircut, I'd probably be a 10. And yeah,
Great, thank you. Who you want to go? Who you wants to go next? Clive or Chioke?
Clyde.
I'll go. Hello, everybody. Again, my name is Clive, or my name is Brian Jr. Clive. I feel about an 8 or 9. Something I'm grappling with is my school / college situation. So I'm trying to go to Northridge actually, and I was selected for additional verification for my FAFSA. So right now I'm just working on that process, getting through it. It's been tough because I haven't been able to speak with my counselors as much, and I've never been to college or done anything like this. So I've been kind of navigating this experience the best of my ability. I struggle with reaching out because uh, it's hard for me to ask for help sometimes, and I try to do things my own way, but Mr. Rancher been reaching out to me and helping me stay connected to him and even helping deal with that. So that's why I'm an 8 or 9, because like I'm kind of going through the storm right now. I know that I'll be out of it eventually. So yeah.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Chioke, you're up, buddy. I didn't mute you this time. You may unmute yourself at the bottom of your screen. There you go.
Hello, can you hear me? Yeah, okay. It just said I was muted again for some reason, but I'm back. So I'm Choke Alan Alvarez. I'll say I'm probably about a 9 right now. And I'm kind of going through something similar with Clive between the senior and the college thing, because right now I'm in my senior year, and what's happening right now is I'm originally trying to go to a historically Black college or university, which is out of state. But because of this coronavirus incident right now, is brought new situations that haven't arisen before. So now I have to think about if I want to pay for out-of-state tuition, if it's just going to be online classes for the first freshman and sophomore year. Is that really worth it? Or if I should decide to accept one of my admissions in my California schools and just stay here for 1 or 2 years and then transfer. So that's something I've been going through right now, is trying to reach out to those colleges and seeing what they have their plans to move forward in within this next 1 or 2 or 3 years in terms of this incident, and trying to figure out what I want to do for myself as well.
Thank you, man. Appreciate that. And so what we're gonna do with now, with you all, and I'm gonna check in. I'm at a 9 right now. And something I'm grappling with is, as a nonprofit leader, I am, trying to keep the team together and trying to apply for all these things, and the PPP and the CARES this and the blah 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 that. And if you got a big staff, you probably got people who can navigate those things quickly. If you got lawyers and bankers on your staff, they can handle those things quickly. But when you're a small nonprofit, there's a lot of paperwork to read through to figure out how to fill out this form that you're signing your life away to with the government. So it's been challenging, and that's something I'm grappling with. So thank you for letting the young men check in. And here's how you're going to check in. I'm going to set up a poll right now. And what you're going to do, yes, I'm going to continue. You should, on your screen, see a poll in progress. And what it's asking you to do is to pick a number on a scale from 1 to 10. 1 is the worst, 10 is the best. And what you do is just begin picking. And what we'll do is we will give you about 30 seconds, 45 seconds to go ahead and put an answer on there. And then we'll jump into a part where we'll give people a chance to speak out loud in the community about something they're grappling with. And then we'll jump into the deeper part of the work. So take about another 30 seconds if you can. I think it will work the same. I think you should see a screen pop up and then you just you think you can just select the number. All right, so I'll give it about a few more seconds if any last folks want to check in, and then I'm going to end the poll and let you see the results. Okay, here we go. Can you see the results right now? Okay, can you see the results? You can see them? Okay, great. So these are the results. So as you can see, this is kind of where we are in the room, right? The majority of folks are in a 7, a few folks below a 7, folks are above a 7. And, you know, one of the things that we do when we do our work with checking in, whatever community we're in, I believe check-ins are really important. I believe that to have a space to recognize that because I, the facilitator, come in at a 9 or 10, ready to go, that it would be naive of me to believe that everyone should be 9 or 10. Like I have a lot of energy and ready for this conversation, but knowing that we all come from different places and different experiences. And, you know, when we go to schools, mostly we, you know, 7 is like the bare minimum people can be at where we kind of let them slide through, right? Because, well, at 7 out of 10 is like 70%. And once you drop below that, we know that we call it in school language, like it's a danger zone, right? And so what we try and do with folks is we try and check in with folks to see if they need anything. And we can't really do that in this kind of setting, but what we do want to do is if there's anybody who is just feeling like the energy right now, from the young men or from something right now that you want to check in, you can raise your hand. We have a time for maybe 3 to 4 people who want to out loud just check in with the room. And what you can do is you'll just raise your hand, and I think there's a button on where it says participants, or maybe at the bottom of your screen you can say I can raise my hand. I think it's like you click on the bottom, there's a place where you can raise your hand, and then somebody will just unmute you so that you can participate. And then the question you're going to answer is, you know, what is something you're grappling with right now in this time? And that's how we're going to do that for the next about 3 minutes or so. So anybody who wants to speak, please go ahead and do that now.
Nice. We got Christian Lopez raising his hand, so I'm going to unmute him.
Great. Okay, I'm ready to go. What's up, guys? Ashanti, thank you so much for being here. Rudy, thank you for putting this on. Some of you might not know, some of you may know, I already participated in one of the talks for this MenCare talk series, and it was phenomenal. The feedback that I got, it was just great. But check it in right now. Lopez, Christian, I'm a 9 right now. And the reason I'm not a 10 is because what Alberto said, I need a haircut really bad right now. And that's the only reason I'm not a 10 right now. But the reason I'm a 9 is because just hearing Alberto and Clive and Chioke speak, man, guys, like what I'm grappling with right now is trying to put those emotions that I'm feeling right now into words, because there's so much gratitude, there's so much joy, there's so much pride. And just hearing you young men speak, man, you guys have such a sense of self-awareness and a sense of what you want for your lives that I didn't have when I was a senior in high school, when I had just graduated high school. Just hearing you guys speak and knowing that you guys are a part of this group and a part of this community, a part of what Ashanti is doing, is just, it's unbelievable, man. You guys should be beyond proud of yourselves, because I don't even know you guys, and I'm proud of you guys. So what I'm grappling with right now is fighting back tears. As you guys were started to speak, you young men, I started to get a little teary-eyed, just because the sense of joy and the sense of pride that I felt. So that's what I'm grappling with right now, just trying to put these emotions that I'm feeling in my body into words.
Thank you very much for that.
Mm-hmm.
Rudy, is there anyone else?
Thank you.
Yeah, no one else is raising your hand. So, okay, we got Arjuna.
Okay.
What's up, y'all? Thanks for hosting, everyone. Let's see here. Can you hear me now? Nice. Yeah. I think so. I work in education. My wife works in education. We got 2 daughters in our 1-bedroom here, and we feel very fortunate to have jobs and have a family to be holed up with. At the same time, a lot of our work trying to lead our school communities, it feels like it's at the expense of our families. Like I'm just strong arming my little 2-year-old to get out the Zoom screen. And, in moments of challenge, I feel like a lot of us kind of revert back to our muscle memory. And for me, I'm noticing that I'm struggling to feel my value, my worth, both professionally, and then that's seeping into my personal life. I'm not having the patience with my family, my daughters. Snappy. It doesn't feel good, and I'm not bringing my best. So I'm grappling with how to make sense of all of that and feel productive, feel a sense of positivity and value in this moment.
Thank you so much. Thank you for that. Well, thank you too for checking in. Since we had no other hands, I'm going to let you go ahead and move forward. I really appreciate you both. What was there another one, Rudy?
Yeah, we got one more person just raised his hand. Louise.
Great. Let's do it.
Hi, first, thanks for hosting this. Glad to see that MenCare is doing well since I left. But this whole quarantine, feeling around 6, 7-ish. School's a little tough with online engineering courses, and some of my professors don't even teach anymore. So I'm like teaching myself 4 different classes, and I'm also just getting news that people in my family are being diagnosed with like cancer as well as COVID, and just juggling all of that while still trying to keep focus on my courses is a little rough, and I kind of started losing motivation. But I am grateful for my parents having jobs and stuff, being able to at least have a place to be while all this is going on and not having to worry about everything else going on.
Thank you, man. Thank you for checking in. One of the things I want to appreciate you for speaking some of that truth and all the men who spoke. One of the things that we've seen in our work with young men as we've been able to start working more with the men in the communities is for us to have a place to be able to take off the mask. And so a lot of the things you're going to be talking about today is going to be about masks. And so if you haven't seen the documentary, The Mask You Live In, I encourage you to watch it. I'm not sure if I'll have time to show the trailer, but I will try at the end. But if you haven't seen it, the documentary is about American masculinity and how this hyper masculine narrative of being a man is really hurting our boys. And our boys grow up in a society where they are very rigid. There's a very rigid definition of what it means to be a man. And if you don't follow those rules, society has a way of either pushing you so far out that you feel you don't belong anywhere, or making you conform to the rules that they have been assigned. And one of the things that we have really been able to see in this work is that when we get a chance to give young people, older people, adults, all ages, a chance to be more ourselves, our true selves, then we feel more alive. When we feel more alive, then we can go and do the things in the world that we feel like we were best equipped for. When I started off, I grew up poor in Oakland. I wanted to be rich. Like the opposite of poor in Oakland is rich. So for me, that's the definition I was working towards. And so I went to college to be an engineer. They said engineers make a lot of money. I said, sign me up. I like math. And I went to those classes and I studied hard and late nights and dealing with the cutthroat people who don't want to help with the notes, all the stuff you deal with in a college campus that I dealt with. And then I got into a job and I was like, all right, I'm making money. And I wasn't feeling like the happiness ever after kind of vibe. I was working for happiness ever after. I wasn't working for happiness starting at Friday at 5 p.m. But happiness was starting at Friday about 5 p.m., maybe 4:30, because it was called happy hour. And it lasted till Sunday around 7 p.m. because then I had to get ready for the next day. And so I began to work from happiness from Friday in the evening to Sunday evening, and I was just jumping from beverage to club to beverage. And it was like, this is not what I signed up for. I didn't sacrifice all the fun in college to get this degree to then be like, all I'm doing is working for the weekend. And so today I get to do the work that I feel like I was born to do and to come alive. And so what we want to do now is so some of you may have heard of our work and maybe not, but what we're going to do is I'm going to give you a chance to experience some of it. And so hopefully, depending on whether you're on a digital device or a computer, I'm going to show you a slide and we're going to go to a website. So let me get ready to do this share screen. And if you've ever been on Zoom much this last season, you know that this can go a lot of different ways. And I even practiced this multiple times, but just so in case, just know I will be back with you. So we're going to go, the website is www.100kmasks.com. So I'm going to type it in the, I have Alberto type it in the chat box so you can see it there. The website is www.100kmasks.com. So I'm going to share my screen with you. So, but you need to be looking at your own screen. So I'm not going to share my screen with you, but I should show you what the screen looks like so that you can see that. So I'm going to go 100kmasks, that's plural.com. So when you go to 100kmasks.com, you should see a site that looks like this. This is what you should see on your screen. And so it will be some numbers in the corner. You'll see a box there that says draw your mask, sign up your team, or go to gallery. You're just going to go to the draw your mask. So you click on draw your mask. And what this is from the documentary The Mask You Live In, we created this tool that lets people all over the world get a chance to participate in the 100,000 Mask Challenge. The mask is the representation of what we let the world see about us. The back of the mask are the things that we normally don't let people see. And so what you're going to do is you're going to go to that site, and I want you just to click, go through the site, and I'm going to give you like 3 minutes, and you're going to create your mask on this site. And we're going to take these 3 minutes. I'm going to I'll play some music, and then what you can do is you can just take some time after you finish drawing it and go ahead and submit it. When you come back, I'm going to share with you a video of some masks from all over the world. So let me get to some music. I'm going to let you go ahead and, while you're working on that, and All right. Can somebody give me a thumb up if you got yours done already? If you're already been able to do it, somebody just let me know. Okay. See a couple of thumbs up, and for those who are on video. Does anybody need more time? Just I want to make sure I give people plenty of time. I don't want to rush you. Okay. Louise, did you have enough time to finish? I just want to check in with somebody who hasn't. Okay, you have. Okay, great. So I know some people are still working on it. So I'm gonna do what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna ask everyone as you're finishing it up, just take some deep breaths and just breathe. Maybe you caught yourself holding your breath in between that process. Maybe you've never done it before. Maybe you've already made a mask at some point. You know, what we've done in this work around the world, we've collected over 44,000 masks. Last year, 2018, we were at CSUN collecting masks there as well. I'm going to share with you some of those that we collected from male identifying people there. But before I do that, I'm going to show you a video that will just kind of wrap up some of the work that we've been doing in this work. So I'm going to play a video. You're still drawing, you can draw on the side, and I'm just going to play the video for you though. And okay, you able to see my screen here? Yeah, okay. So I'm gonna play the video, and if you want to share a screen so you can continue drawing, that'd be great. And here we go. This song that you hear in the video was created by a high school in Los Angeles called High School for Recording Arts. They're students who may have had challenges in regular school settings, and so this school was really about helping them use music as a way to get not only their diploma, but also to do something that they are more passionate about. And so school is focused around recording arts, and so they learned with using the recording industry as a platform. And so I took them through the exact example you all just went through, the mask, and then they created a song. And so that's what the song you will hear in this video. Here we go.
Summer you'll never have until you ask. You don't know just who I am under this mask. 100,000 masks, I'm just trying to be a man. 100,000 masks, you don't know just who I am. May think you know me, you can't envision my past. You don't know just who I am under this mask. 100,000 masks, I'm just trying to be a man. 100,000 masks, you don't know just who I am. Walk 1,000 miles and I ain't never looking back. Before I take this mask off, gotta know myself in fact. I can never go too fast, I can never get off track. Leave it in the past, I can never come in last. 100,000 masks, sure feel who I am. I'm just feeling good, yeah, I'm feeling like the man. Front and back of mask, trying to ask her who I am. Know just who I am, when you look inside this mask. Summer you'll never have, till you ask. You don't know just who I am under this mask. 100,000 masks, I'm just trying to be a man. 100,000 masks, you don't know just who I am. May think you know me, you can't envision my past. You don't know just who I am under this mask. 100,000 masks, I'm just trying to be a man. 100,000 masks, you don't know just who I am.
right. So take a deep breath. So I guess the question I would ask you now is, what's coming up for you right now? Like for those of you that went and made a mask, and maybe you were worried that you were the only one, or maybe you were worried about other things. I don't know, but after you saw the video and saw masks from different parts of the world, what is something that came up for you, right, in that 2-minute video, or in the experience while you were drawing your own mask? And you can raise your hand. I think Rudy or one of the team will just call on you. If you're feeling like you're called to say something right now that's coming up for you, please do. I think maybe I'll answer Christian. I see Christian. I see you, Christian. I don't know if I can. Let's see if I can answer it. Can I answer it?
So yeah, and keep your hand raised so I can see it.
Yeah, I'm unmuted now. All right. Can you guys hear me all right? Okay. For me, so I did this a while back because I found you, I think, through Instagram or something. Oh, no, I'm sorry. I watched the movie The Mask You Live In, and I found you through there, Ashanti. So I did this myself back when I watched this movie, probably a couple of years ago now. But doing it again now, yeah, brought up some of that stuff. But for me, on the outside, what I let people see is my sense of humor, my silliness, always cracking jokes, always being silly, always being lighthearted. My sense of optimism, always, seeing the bright side of things, always looking for good stuff in the future, and courage, pretending to be brave, pretending to be courage, even in the face of fear. So that's the stuff that I like to show on the outside, that I like to be seen. And the stuff that I don't really like to be seen, which I'm working on, I have been working on for the past couple of years, but it's still kind of there, is fear, fear of failure, fear of not being good enough, fear of not being liked, fear of what other people are going to say, insecurities, which kind of go along with those as well, and unworthiness, again, not being good enough, not, worried about people talking crap or hating or saying you're stupid or you're not good enough or who are you to do this. Those are the stuff that I kind of keep hidden, and I don't really let be seen too much, which I have been getting better at. But yeah, there's still those dark sides of me that I like to keep in the shadows.
Thank you for sharing.
Mm-hmm.
Anyone else want to reflect on that experience, on watching the video, on making your mask, on any part of that last section? Okay. Nope. All right.
Did you want to go, Arjuna? I saw your hand raised. Nah. We can't hear you.
I got you.
I'm working with students, so I'm thinking about how in this moment in time, it might be a little easier to hide what's behind your mask because you're at your house, and you show up at school, you have to try a little bit harder to not be seen. And I'm just thinking about the impact that has on reaching folks when it can be so easy to blend in.
Thank you. All right. Someone may be wondering, like, what does this have to do with masculinity?
Someone's raising their hand in the bottom.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I think Ryan Mason's raising his hand, so I'm going to unmute him.
Great.
Yes. Hey, how you all doing?
Hello.
So I work with on the higher ed side, and I think but one of the things I really took from it was even though I was writing certain things on the left column and getting certain things on the right column, I did know that I still didn't want to put and accept some of the things on the right column. So there was still a hesitation, and even at my age and with my experiences, the hesitation on putting things down and actually saying that this is who I am. I just wanted to, and then going through the bravery of those narratives that we saw in the clip made me want to revisit it and add more. But yeah, just talking about that, thinking about that rather.
Thank you for that. Maybe some of you don't know how to raise your hand on the computer, but if you want to raise your hand and just use your physical hand, so that I don't want to leave anybody out who wanted to speak if you can't find it digitally.
Nice. You can also, if you can't find the hand raise, just write in the chat. Like,
great. You know, one of the things that we have seen in this work, and so, you know, when we talk about this idea of, and this new idea of what manhood is, my goal is not to kind of create for anybody a definition. One of the things I talk to a lot of my mentors about in the work and the young men is like, who are you? Right? Because if I'm in this body, I occupy this male body and I identify as a male, then how does it show up for me? And growing up, I didn't have a lot of rule. I didn't have a lot of space to make up my own rules. I had a community of Oakland, California, putting a lot of rules on me. I had a lot of family pressure that I'm the oldest of my family. I'm responsible for my siblings. I got to take care. I got to be the man of the house at 7 years old. I got to know what it means to be a man at such a young age. Like there's rules. What I hope is that for our society is that we can create a society where I get to be who I want to be. I remember a time that even thinking about wearing a red, pink, purple shirt was just unacceptable. Unacceptable. I remember trying to buy one at a store and being told, you can't buy that. What are you doing? What's wrong? What's wrong with that? Like, and the rules that were put on you, you're like, oh, I'm not supposed to like that? That's an amazing color right there. Like, why can't I wear that, right? And I think that what happens throughout our lives, we have the rules placed on us, and then we get to a place where we say, do I really want to follow those rules continually? Do they still apply to me? Do I let them apply to me? Will I let them run my life? You know, Clive and Choke got to talk about this idea of senior year, right? The idea of like your senior year, you got the graduation, you got the prom, you got all these things. And I think a lot of times, you know, over the last couple of weeks, I'll tell you a personal situation. I meet with a group of young men every Wednesday. So 1 week, like say 3 weeks ago. 3 weeks ago, most of the men didn't show up. Chioke was the only one who showed up. I was really glad he showed up. We had a one-on-one talk, but I was kind of bummed out that the other young men didn't show up. Week after that, we had a special guest from Brazil. Guess who showed up? Only the young men from Brazil. Like, there are young men in this program, I promise. All the young men didn't show up. So now I'm, you know, and through digital devices, we can get really creative in words, right? But how somebody reads those words is something different. So I'm like getting hot. I'm like, I wrote 3 messages to them that I deleted because they were, I think, probably inappropriate. But they were more like, how are you not showing up to these calls? Like I'm spending my time trying to make a space for you all and you wasting time. I took it personal. And I realized what I learned early on as a mentor, I don't get to control how they respond to my offer. I only can control that I'm offering it at a full heart. And if they don't respond, then they don't respond. And I remember early in my days of being a mentor in this work where I was like getting so mad when people didn't come to meetings, like mad to the fact that I was like, oh, like that kind of mad. Like, and I realized that when I let go of anything that was going to happen as a response, it all got much better because all I could do was just be there. And I don't get to control it. And so and the next week after that, Clive showed up, and then a couple people showed up a little late. So what I think that what happens in our young people, and I'm always talking about young people because that's my main context, but men, when I work with men, I'm on a men's team. I've been on a men's team since 2010. October 2010, I joined a men's team. Every Tuesday night from 7 to 10 p.m., I'm with my men. And some weeks I'm there to help other men. Some weeks I'm there because I need help. But regardless, it's not a judgment space. It's a space just to be able to let go and be more of my real true self. Who do you get to go talk to when you need to take the mask off? I know Arjuna talked about being at home and feeling the pressure of like, okay, I'm being my work self and my family self all in the same room, in the same place, and how that can get challenging. And I just want to make sure that even throughout this time, I'm hoping that every individual in this room, whether you came here because you work with men or you are just curious about it or you have been working on your own stuff that you're dealing with, that you have a place that you can go and talk to. And then maybe the place may not be necessarily someone's house these days. It may just be on a phone call. It may be in a chat room. It may be on a WhatsApp video, or whatever the ways that you can get to communicate, but that you got some space to do that. So here's what I want to do. I want to move into another piece, but I want to just see if there's any comments that are coming. You know, if we're in a room live, I can get feedback a lot faster, and I can read body language a little better. So I just want to make sure I'm going to ask a few times if there's any comments that are coming up for people, because I know that I'm not able to see everybody, and also I just want to make sure that I leave room for that. Is anybody feeling right now anything that they're getting called right now?
Well, I just want to honor that someone, Rio, wrote an awesome response in the chat. So I don't know if she wants to speak into it or just leave it in the chat, but she responded in a beautiful way. Okay, great. Well, I mean, I won't be able to read it because I'm looking at the people. So I would love to read it at some point. So should we read it? I don't know.
Why don't, is it, I'll read it. I'm getting some nods. So can I get a thumbs up, Rio, if it's okay that I read it? Okay, I got the thumbs up. She says, for me, it was more like I have more people around me and they've had very difficult situations. So it made me feel like I needed to be the rock of the family. This made me feel like I couldn't talk about my difficulties without making it sound like I'm joking. So people don't have to worry about me when they have worse things to worry about. I just find it hard to talk about any difficulties I have when I feel like others have it harder. It moves me to be more helpful and care for others more than myself, and that can be a problem.
Ooh, I need a deep breath for that one. Thank you. Thank you. You know, there's a audio somebody gave me a long time ago. It was on a CD. And it was called Who Motivates the Motivator? And I remember that like it was yesterday when the person handed it to me, because it's those questions that when you're the person that people go to for inspiration, for motivation, do you have a place to go to yourself? Like who do you get to go to be able to get the inspiration and motivation? And I think that thank you for speaking to those words, because I think that for people who are givers, who are helpers, who like to help others, sometimes it becomes really challenging to find the place where we get to get the help. And I think those are the places that I try and create for not only for the young men, but for men, because I think that sometimes, you know, people in our communities, they're dealing with a lot. They're caretakers at young ages. They're responsible for big jobs and tasks that they didn't ask for, but that were handed to them and like, here, take it. And so I really appreciate you for that. And I feel the same. I feel a lot of the same sentiments you wrote, that I don't want to talk about it for myself, because I want to just make sure you're okay. I feel myself going, when somebody asks me on a phone call, hey, how you doing? I'm like, yeah, you know, things been going okay. Oh, how are you? I jump to how are you so fast that I don't even really finish answering how I'm doing. Because I'm like, well, because I really wanted to do it. So thank you for speaking to that, Rio. I appreciate that very much. Anyone else? Anyone else says, before we move on, because we're going to jump into the next piece. All right. So remember I told you I was going to just share with you some, let me see if I can pull this up as when I was on campus a couple of years ago, we were at there was a MenCare's event. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to share my screen with you. I'm going to just share with you some masks that we collected at Cal State Northridge in 2018. So 2 years ago. It was like, actually, I think it was springtime. It was sunny. It was hot. I remember that. I don't remember the exact date, but it was hot. I remember that. And so what I'm going to do is, let me see this, and I'm going to go here. And so are you able to see my screen? Alberto, are you able to see my screen?
I'm able to see the masks. Their screen is masked.
You see a mask on the screen?
Yeah.
Okay, great. So this was we were out in the plaza. There was a table, and we had people come up to the table and make masks. So I'm going to just show you about 10 of them, just because I'll bring it a little closer to your school community, right? So I showed you masks from India and from Africa and from Mexico. I showed you some maps from all over. But I think we can bring it a little bit closer to you, where your peers, for those of you who came through to this talk today through Cal State Northridge, these are peers of yours who were on your campus that particular day. Maybe they were there for a college visit, but maybe they were on your campus. And so this one was the first one. And so I'm gonna just go through 10 of them. I'll just let you take them in. I'm not gonna comment on them. I'll just take them in. And these are all males. I went and searched all the male cards that we collected just so that you could just see a selection of men speaking some of their truth from your campus. This one's kind of hard to read, but it's pretty interesting. So I'm gonna just get past it. Okay, I'm gonna stop there. So masks, we're talking about masks. Like, where do we get to be more of our true self? So what we're gonna do right now is we're gonna use the chat box for this next part. Is I'm going to show you 3 words. I'm gonna show you 3 words. And what I would like you to do is I would like you just to react to the 3 words. And you can react with words. If you want to just write on your own notepad, you don't want to write in the chat box, you can do it on your own notebook. It's okay. If you have a piece of paper and you want to draw and doodle, you can do that. But I'm going to just show 3 words on the screen. And I just want you to react to those 3 words. And then I'll play a song. And then we'll jump into the next part. Here we go. Here are the 3 words. I'm going to play a song. And you can react to those into the chat box. Thank you. Take a deep breath, maybe. Just knowing that sometimes we just need a place just to be able to feel what we feel. To take what we're feeling, what we're dealing with in a way and be able to talk about it, write about it, draw about it, process it. That's what we need. So I want to show you a video, and then from the video, I want us to, we're going to react to another screen. So I'm going to show you a video right now.
Are you scared yet? They say this thing, it kills your immune system, attacks your lungs, makes it hard to breathe, and it's spreading. Spreading like wildfire, causing havoc. Your friends and family are gonna get it, if they don't already have it. It's tragic, I tell you, madness. Scientists say old people get it worse, but most get it eventually. They say this is new, but no. This has been around for centuries. Look at history, it's just a different name, a different strain. And now there's no way to contain it. It infects the rich, poor, young, old, the unknown, the famous. It's dangerous. Everyone's on edge, locked inside of their homes nervously. Borders are closed, countries declare state of emergencies. Grocery stores are empty, nobody's praying in church. The world has gone to crap. No wonder toilet paper sold out first. The stock market crashed, thousands laid off work. Hand sanitizer is going for $1 million a squirt. You better not sneeze, cause no one's gonna say God bless you. They might even arrest you. I don't mean to stress you, but washing your hands obsessively in the restroom will not protect you. Friends, I'm not talking about coronavirus. Now this is a virus even more deadly. The F virus. You've seen it. It spreads every minute like an epidemic. It lives on surfaces, most commonly remote controls, TV screens, cellular phones. It makes you desperate. Doctors say every time you scroll down your feed, you get reinfected. It invades the brain, and when it mutates, it turns into hatred and blame. China did it. No, Italy did. No, Iran, no, Spain. Oh, I didn't make it clear? The F virus, ladies and gentlemen, is fear. But don't be afraid. Despite what you hear or see on your TV, there is good news during this tragedy. To fight loneliness, people are performing concerts on their balconies. The UAE sent aid to Iran. Japan donated supplies to China for free. Written on them was a poem that said, "We are waves from the same sea." Listen to me, like every tragedy, we can let this destroy us, or we can use it to our benefit and repair relationships with our sisters and brothers, wipe away silly grudges, because when it's all said and done, all we ever really had in this world was each other. So yes, let's flatten the curve and expand our hearts. Let's social distance, boost our immune systems, be mindful of where we put our hands, but also where we put our attention. Be alert, not fearful, because the F virus is a pandemic easily transmitted. If you do contract it or exhibit symptoms, we recommend immediately dialing the hotline of a level-headed friend. If you are exposed through your TV, change the dang station. Decontaminate yourself through dance, laughter, and meditation. 2020 has been morbid. From Kobe to COVID, may we use these tragic moments to finally wake up to what's important. Right now, tell someone that you care for them. Yes, right now, tell them that you cherish them. If they are not in the same room, ring them up and tell them you will always be there for them. Because together is how we will rise above. The only vaccine for this F virus and every other virus is love.
So thank you for watching that. That's Prince EA. He's one of my favorite poets, and I think it's timely to where we are right now. And so this next screen, this next song I'm going to play is going to be these three words: hope, love, and dreams. I'm going to encourage you to react to those in the chat box. If you have a notepad you want to draw, do whatever you need to do. I'll play a song, and then we'll come back after that. Okay? Here we go. All right. Thank you. Thank you all for engaging in that. Some beautiful comments in there. So now let's take a breath. If you just take a breath, maybe. And so now we can maybe just react to that last piece. From going from one emotion or one feeling, one set of feelings, one set of words, one set of reactions, to just switching to another set. And anybody who's feeling called to speak to how that was for them, either screen, the video, whatever you are right now in this space. All right. Hey, Christian. Got you.
That was great. That was a great exercise. It just really made me stop and think what those simple little words might mean to me and what they mean to everybody else, you know, because one word can fill me with joy, can fill me with excitement, but for somebody else, it means something totally different. But for me, I just wanted to touch on love and stick with love because I'm the type of person, some people call me foolish, some people call me stubborn and hard-headed, but I always have and I always will see the love in people first, because I truly believe that we're born good and we're born with love. It's just somewhere along the way, whether because of drama or because of upbringing or some kind of fear or some kind of insecurity or something that happened to us along the way, makes us a lot more guarded and makes us act out of fear instead of acting out of love. But I will always believe, I don't care who proves me wrong. I don't care if I see somebody who just, for everybody else, they're an evil person. I will always believe there's love inside that person somewhere. It's just, sometimes it's just buried way deep down inside. And sometimes we just got to try to dig it out.
Thank you. Thank you. Anyone else? So one of the things that I want us to do in this moment right now is, I think that for those of you, I wish I had started with asking you a question about what did you want to get out of this time together. So I think I want to leave some time for Q&A, for some questions, because I think that there's also so many places that I could have a narrative about. Like maybe, you know, if I was thinking of, like, I had a agenda, I have no agenda in terms of you knowing one or two things. But what I do want you to recognize is that the men in your life, I was about to speak in generalities. I'm speaking in a very generality. That the men and boys in your life, they are following rules that maybe you are clearly aware of. And maybe they're following rules that you don't even know exist. You know, I think that there are unwritten rules to occupy this body. Like in my community, where I grew up, you can't be too nice. You can't be too kind. Can't be too gentle. Can't be too caring. You can't be too loving. I think those are all great human qualities. But where I live, those qualities have you preyed upon as weak, as soft, as not manly, as not man, as all the other derogatory names you probably have heard out there. And I think the challenge is that if we don't begin finding ways for us to give boys room to be more of their true self, then they have to follow in a world where it says, well, maybe when they get older, they'll decide to be kinder. Maybe when you're 5 years old, King of the Hill is really cool, right? Oh, he's the toughest 5-year-old. Look at him. He pushed everybody down. He's on top of all of them. Right? That's cute when you're 5, but when you're 15, it'll get you put in jail. And when do we expect a young person to say, I don't have to be the king of the hill anymore? I don't have to push everybody down and make everybody feel small so I feel big. Where do we stop? When does it become okay that I can just be comfortable in my own skin, that I don't have to push you and make you look smaller so I look bigger? Where are the areas that shows up? And I don't think it just shows up in the playground. It doesn't just show up in high school. It shows up in college. It shows up in corporate America. It shows up on the professional sports fields. It shows up in so many places. And so the question that I want each of you to think about in terms of your world and your community is, what are the things that you can be doing? Where are the empowering places? Where are the places that you can be pouring messages of hope and love into the men in your community? Because I think that if we don't, as a society, begin to change, like I wish that Ever Forward Club didn't have to exist. I wish I didn't have to create a space for young men to come together to talk about how they felt in a safe place so they get made fun of in the world. I wish that we didn't have to exist. I don't really think, I wish we didn't. But until society comes to a place where we're saying we can all speak to our feelings and not be considered less than who we consider ourselves to be, then we have work to do. And that's what I work. And so I'm gonna stop right now to answer, leave any answers for questions, or leave any answers, leave any time for questions. And then I will try at the end. I think I will have time to show you the documentary trailer for those of you. Can you just raise your hand for those that I can see video? If you've seen the documentary, if you just raise your hand so I can see how many? 1, 2, 3. Okay, so of the ones where I can see the video, I think it's only like less than 50%. Okay, great. So any questions? Any questions that are coming up right now before? I just want to make sure I give room for this conversation to go where you needed to go or what you came to get out of it. And you can type it in the chat box if you're not on video and you don't want to speak out loud. But are there any questions coming up for you as we get ready to? Hey, Christian, how you doing, buddy? I got you. I see Mark. I see you, Mark, up there.
Why don't we get Mark going? I'm going to unmute you, Mark. Oh, you're good.
I think I'm unmuted now. Ashanti, first, and your colleagues that you brought with you, you create such a wonderful, wonderful space. And I'm so very proud of you and what the work that you're doing. And you bring so much heart and soul into what you're doing. And just bless you. And I love the way that you've been able to take what's going on right now around masks and bring that into the current conversation, because it's so relevant. I just have more of a self-disclosure, a comment that I'd like to make is that as I reflect upon my life and what fuels me and what motivates me, I would say right now in my life, what fuels and motivates me is kind of having a radar screen for kindness. I'm not bothered by being embarrassed. I'm not afraid of being embarrassed. I'm not afraid of being put down. And I just remember when I was younger, how that was my motivating, like doing everything I can do not to get embarrassed, not to be picked on, not to be fun of. And so you're working sort of with this deficit model. And I've got to tell you, it just feels so good. And it's just part of, I think, what we can do as guys as we continue to observe ourselves, to continue to observe our reactions that we have with one another, and just pay attention to it in a really compassionate, kind way. And when we do that, I think we will automatically grow. And I also think, Ashanti, that what you've been doing is that when other men witness our vulnerability and they love us for our vulnerability, that lasts so long inside of our soul. So thank you, Ashanti, from the bottom of my heart for the work that you're doing.
Thank you, Mark. I appreciate you.
You're very welcome.
All right, let's move to Christian.
Thanks, guys. I know I'm talking a lot here, but I love all this stuff and I feel so strongly about all this stuff. First of all, I want to acknowledge Mark. Mark, thank you so much, man, because it's definitely more in the younger generations now where we're seeing the shift to a little bit more tenderness and kindness and love and vulnerability, as you said, whereas, you know, older generations, my father's generation, my grandfather's generations, were that traditional, stoic, tough, macho guy that never let their emotions be seen, never talked about their feelings, never cried. So thank you, Mark. Thank you for being somebody from a previous generation who sees the importance in this work. And secondly, for you, Ashanti, you talked about, you know, these rules that are handed down to us men. You know, we don't cry, we don't get vulnerable, we don't talk about our feelings. If I had to pick one of those rules that I would love to see changed, is that men don't talk about their feelings and we don't get emotional, because I feel like once we start to let that stuff out and let it be seen and put it out into the open without feeling that sense of shame, I feel like it can do wonders for not just us men, for young men, for our kids, for women, for just the world in general. So my quick question to you, Ashanti, is what one rule that is handed down to us men would you like to see changed?
Yeah, I think that's the rule. I mean, that's why we started Ever Forward. You know, Ever Forward Club. I was a first year teacher. I didn't have time to be starting no thing. I definitely have no thought that a nonprofit means you make less money than a teacher. I was like, there was no way I was, you know what I'm saying? So I was thinking that I was working hard to like be a good teacher. And then I'm like, well, they're not learning from me. And what's going on? I'm trying to ask them what's going on. I, talk to them in front of, I bring them to their class. I bring them out in front of the room or out the door. Like, hey, what's going on? They're not talking about it. And you can see it. I think one of the things is if you're a person who feels other connection with others, you can feel it. And when I felt young people like trying to resist, when I saw young men like wipe their eyeballs to stop themselves from crying, like I'm like, why are you wiping? Stop doing that. But you can't cry in high school. No way. So they're like wiping their eyeballs. I'm like, dude, you're gonna mess your eyeballs up. Don't do that. But it was just this fear, like I can't show emotions. I can't let emotions show, and it was not having a safe place to do it. And so I think having a place to do that, I think, is why Ever Forward existed in the beginning. And so I would say the same one that you chose is a huge part of our work. Yeah, thank you for that. Thanks for the question. Great question.
All right, we got Adrian who wants to ask a question.
Hello, Adrian.
Hi, Ashanti. Thanks for your time. I really appreciate you presenting. Obviously, I didn't present myself or introduce myself. My name is Adrian. I'm actually a wrestling coach at a local high school, and I got obviously a significant amount of young men under my tutelage, and I just wanted to kind of get your take and your kind of if you could comment on the balance of being vulnerable and emotional, but also kind of guiding young athletes in a sport that's very obviously competitive and can be aggressive, and allowing to kind of foster both the ability to be vulnerable and but also not lose that competitive edge in athletics, because I think those are both important as a man, but to be I guess successful in both arenas, I think is really important for me to guide these kids.
Yeah, huge. And thank you, Adrian, for that. And I really appreciate you. I'm glad you. But before I get serious with the question, I'm gonna show you something, because if you know about, I don't know if you know how much of a fan I am of masks, but right here next to my desk, I have a bag of masks, and so this is Mil Máscaras right here. This is the character that our campaign is connected to. Mil Máscaras stands for 1,000 masks. So this wrestler in his life, he was known to always come to the ring with a different mask, and all of them had an M somehow incorporated in his image. And this is one of his most common ones, Mil Máscaras. So M in Spanish is 1,000, and so he would always come with a different mask. And so thank you for asking that question, because I think that with athletics is a huge place that men get conformed to not showing feelings, right? Like, suck it up, man up. Men don't cry. Like, and I think that I would say Joe Ehrman, who's like one of my mentors now, he's in the documentary. He was a former NFL player. He runs an organization really helping coaches to be not only physical leaders in a sport, but also character builders. And I think as a coach, you have such a huge platform to help young people, because they're listening to you, they're looking to you for guidance. And it's like, how amazing is it if I can guide you in that well, I guess you can't do a rear naked choke and you're kind of wrestling, but you can do a over under thing, right? And then to say, but we also are gonna be good sports. We're also gonna, whether we win or lose, we're gonna shake the person's hand. We're all like, there's rules that we play as a team that are not only values of sportsmanship, but values of good men connecting with other men, right? And so I think it gives you just a great space. And I think that having your players, we've done this work with some football teams, got invited to work with wrestling teams, but we offer this tool for coaches, the 100,000 Mask Challenge, because when your team members can recognize they have a safe place to be human, like with my teammates, then I let go of some of that baggage. I did a work with somebody at college just recently, and a young man, he was struggling. This is like in February, before the quarantine. And he like wanted to talk to his teammates about something he was struggling with, and he was afraid. He was afraid that they were gonna start looking at him differently, that they were gonna not want to be on his team. And literally in that workshop that we did together, man, his players on his team started talking about their stuff before he did. And he was like, oh my goodness. Like, it just opened up the door for him to recognize they're human too. But depending on who gives the room, right? There's always I can get excited about this question, but I want to say, so I can make sure there's room. I look forward to reaching out to you or reach out to me. My email, I'll have Alberto put my email in the chat box. You can email us. But I would say you have a great platform, and to let your players know that to be a man of character. How about we just help redefine what it means to be an alpha in this kind of context? How about it be kindness and empathy and caring and respect? And how about that be like amazing qualities? How about we don't have to hide behind our image to be mean and unkind to others? So, I think that you have so much opportunity, brother, and I'm excited for you and for your team members that you are here and that you are willing to talk about it as well, So I think this is the start. And so however we can support you as an organization, please reach out. Alberto, if you can put my email address in the chat box so that Adrian can copy it. I imagine maybe Rudy will find a way of – all my information is available on our website, everforwardclub.org. So you could please reach out to us there, or if you're a social media person, at everforwardclub. So, thank you for asking that question, Adrian.
Nice. So we got a question from Kayla in the chat, which I'll read out loud. She says, I'm in a family of old girls, and at first I thought to myself, what does this topic have to do with me, being a female and having no brothers? However, it got me thinking about my father. Being the only man in the family, he tends to suppress his emotions so he can be that strong and stable factor for my mom and my sisters. My question is, what do you think I can do to help my own father to know it's okay to cry and it's okay to not look strong all the time? How can I start having that conversation, being that he is my dad and I'm just his daughter?
Ooh. Oh, Kayla. Oh my gosh, that is such a beautiful question. And I think your father is going to be super excited and so I would say one idea is to maybe sit and watch the documentary with him, The Mask You Live In. I think to have him know that you understand that there's these rules from society that were put on him, and that he may not take that as a chance to like emote to you, but at least he'll know you can see him in a different way, that you see that he's human too. And I think that would be such a beautiful, maybe bonding experience for you and him. And so the documentary is available on Google Play and Amazon Prime, or you can see, actually there's a copy on YouTube right now. It has subtitles in Portuguese, so as long as you can deal with the subtitles, the documentary is in English. But I would just encourage you, and that's one simple way. And if he doesn't watch documentaries, then maybe you just go and ask him to make a mask, and you make a mask with him, and then you say, can I see it? And you ask him, or just put him on the table face down and don't show it, and say, can we talk about how that was for you? How easy was it? How hard was it? So I think just opening up the conversation so he knows that there's more to him, I think would be a beautiful. I think he would really. That sounds really beautiful. But thank you for seeing that. I think that I have a couple of buddies who have all girls, and we talk a lot. So, but I know that the daughters don't come to him saying, "Hey, Dad, how are you feeling?" Right? So I think that they love him, but it's like they don't check in with his, because he has to keep it together, So thank you for that. That was really beautiful. And there's another book. If your dad's a reader, there's a book that just came out by Mark Brackett. It's called Permission to Feel. So one is called Permission to Feel by Mark Brackett, and one by Jason Wilson. There's a book called Cry Like a Man. It's called Cry Like a Man. So if he's a reader, those are two books that I've just recently read that I really like, and as a documentary, The Mask You Live In. So thank you for asking. that it? So what I'll do is I'll stay after. You know, it's about to be 4:30, but I'll stay after a little bit if people have other questions they don't want to ask in front of everybody. But I'll be around. But I do want to make sure, Rudy, do you have anything closing out that you need to give people, information or closing information?
Yeah, we do. Is now a good time?
Yeah, let me just say, so thank you all for being on the call. I really appreciate all of you. Thank you for taking time out of your day and of your life. I hope it was meaningful. I know that there may be more questions you have that you want to put in the chat box and leave me your email and like we can reach out or just reach out to us. everforwardclub.org is our organization. Our email is everforwardclub@gmail.com. And so I'll leave it there. And if you have any way of connecting with us, I look forward to that. So thank you, Rudy, for inviting me. And MenCare, I so appreciate you all. I look forward to connecting with you all again.
Oh man, it's so good. So glad you were able to come and share. And it's like food for the heart. And we need more heart in this world. So Yareli and Blossom, can you take it away?
All right. Thank you for attending this talk. For the organization, we're gonna post a link to a survey in the chat, and Rudy will be emailing it to you. And it's completely anonymous, and we're basically using the survey to help us improve with our programming for the talk series that the organization is hosting.
Yeah, so if you could just fill that out as soon as possible, that would be great. And again, the mission of MenCare is to reduce sexual violence and promote healthy masculinity. And MenCare is always looking for and accepting new peer educators. So if you're interested, you can reach out to Rudy. I'm sure he emailed you with the link to the Zoom, so you can just email him. And thank you again for joining us, and we hope to see you all soon.
Awesome.
Thank you.
All right, thank you everyone for coming.
And Shioke for being on the call. And Alberto, I don't see you anymore, but I know you're here somewhere. Thank you for making time for this.
Thank you.